All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the May Board of Supervisors meeting. Glad everybody can make it out in the rain showers. If we can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. More.
Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come together as county, community, and family to conduct business. Thank you for everyone who came out tonight. I ask that you watch over and protect our families at this time, wherever they may be. I pray for peace tonight, good discussion, good ideas, good direction, and to develop and plan to move Amelia forward in a positive way. I know that all won't be pleased, but I ask for understanding and support, even though they may not agree. I pray that after tonight's meeting, we're all still friends and family, and that we'll be united as Amelians, working together for the better, positive, united community. And Lord, I lift up all prayer requests and praises for those that are here and watching and listening, and I pray for safe travels home after this meeting tonight. I ask things in your holy precious name. Amen.
Amen.
I miss them.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you all for coming.
How you doing?
All right, we got the agenda. I've got three things, maybe four. Got an email from Brady this afternoon or this morning. Special event permit for the animal shelter grill off and the Amelia 5K. And I'm assuming that the Sailor's Creek reenactment was in that too. He said those were not ready, hadn't been signed, so we need to remove those from the agenda. Does anybody else have anything?
Yes, sir. In discussion with the requester, we'd like to delay until next month the special exception request for detached dwelling units.
Okay. So that is.
6A.
Yes. Everything that the community development has here, and we'll put that off till next month.
Looks right.
Is that, can I get that in form of a motion?
Certainly. You know, something. Make a motion to approve with those 4 changes.
All right, motion on the floor to amend the agenda to take out four parts. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Agenda is amended. All right, it brings us to the minutes from the last board meeting, and we had 2 continued meetings. What's the board's pleasure on those?
Accept them as a whole.
All right, motion on the floor to accept them as a whole. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Also have the financial reports. What's the board's pleasure?
To accept.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Moore to accept as a block. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries.
You done with that?
Yep.
Before you go to public comments, I'd like to say something.
Okay.
I had to write this out because there's a lot of thoughts here. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. And good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here to share your feedback on the FY25 proposed budget. This has been an interesting budget cycle, and as a new member, it has been a learning experience, and I'd like to share a few words prior to the hearing tonight. The current state of the budget and financial position of the county makes me think of Jesus' words in John 8:7. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. I share that because it feels that many people are looking for someone to blame for this budget issues we are facing. I do not believe, and I hope you will agree, that it is not one decision and one person that has led to the decline of the county's financial position. Therefore, laying the blame at the feet of one person for the decision is not the route to solving the problem. We all have shared blame in this situation, and everybody probably deserves a stone. The way I understand it, over the years, the Board of Supervisors have worked to keep all tax rates low in comparison to other localities. For example, the last time the real estate rate was this low, 38 cents per hundred value, was 1982. The personal property rate at 415 per hundred of value is the same as it was in 2012. Lastly, the machine and tool tax has not been increased since 1991. However, without increasing revenue, the Board of Supervisors over the past 5 years approved budgets that were clearly milking off the kitty or pulling off the rainy day fund, however you want to use it, relying on the general fund, the fund balance, or our savings to be balanced. As we all know, this was not and is not okay to do. And we now have barely any general fund left in the rainy day fund. Although our overall fund of the county has increased due to capital revenue from the landfill, we cannot rely on these figures to make up the general fund shortfall because that is also not okay. The general fund deficit that has occurred in recent years is not just because of low taxes. The county must also be more efficient and spend fewer dollars. To prosper in the long term and build back the general fund balance, both spending cuts and tax increases will be necessary. Additionally, we cannot build it back by simply taking from the capital fund reserves. Last year, from my understanding, when the board approved the FY24 budget, they honestly believed it would be balanced. But there was a revenue projection error that misled the board in their budget appropriations. In result, the county again is facing a similar general fund deficit this year as it has in recent years. To be clear, money was not stolen, wasn't lost, or misused. There are over 300 revenue lines, and just one was duplicated. There were multiple sets of eyes that should have reviewed this information in detail, and it was not caught. Even if the revenue projection error did not occur, the FY24 year-end budget would not be balanced because of delinquent taxes. Currently, there is approximately $750,000 of delinquent personal property taxes. Add the $250,000 in delinquent real estate taxes. That is $1 million of desperately needed revenue that the current tax year that the county has not received from taxpayers. Whose fault is that? Another topic of discussion has been the prior assessment and its effect on the tax revenue. I know there are a lot of property cards that may or may not be incorrect and need updating. And has every citizen gone and checked their own card and reported anything that was off, even if it cost them more taxes? Even I am guilty of this. My card says that I'm on public water, and I live in downtown Jetersville. Even though it's downtown, it's not public water there. But I have not fixed that yet myself. So I'm guilty as well. Also, we are all aware of the state of the relationship between the admin office, the commissioner's office, and the treasurer's office over the past few years. This environment has not been collaborative and has been resulted in miscommunication, misunderstanding, is simply detrimental to making progress in tough situations like we are currently in. Sometimes figures are left unverified because it would require crossing enemy lines. This has to stop, and people need to put on their big boy and girl pants. If everyone can take a bite of humble pie, citizens of Amelia, fellow board members, constitutional officers, and county administration, I think we can move forward to fix this problem. We all need to come together as a team Amelia, even if our toes are stepped on and feelings are hurt. Instead of casting stones at one side or another, when we all properly deserve a stone in our own direction. Let's all be on Team Amelia with our thoughts, actions, and words. Please give grace to one another tonight and be constructive with your suggestions. If you want to help Amelia, instead of using social media in a negative way to trash or to stir up things that hurt people, consider stepping up, going to the source, asking questions, and getting involved in a positive way. Thank you for your time and patience and allowing me to read this.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. That was very well said.
Good job.
Yep, good job.
Good job.
All right, folks, that brings us to the public comment time. I would ask that at this time, if you got any concerns, general concerns about the county you want to talk about, but if you have concerns about the budget, there will be a public hearing later this afternoon tonight that we can address those. But if you could just do general comment on this, and please state your name and your address, and try to keep it to 3 minutes. Everybody wants to be able to speak. So I'll open public comment at this time.
Hello, I'm Joy Worsham. I live on 6500 Amelia Springs Road. I am the administrator of the Amelia County Food Pantry, and I wanted to come. I thought it was next week, and I was recuperating from our USDA, but I got up to run up here to say thank you to the Board of Supervisors for your support. Mr. Jones for inviting us to the tractor parade. Also, Mr. Easter and the Amelia Day Committee. Thank you so much for thinking of us and putting us on the map and putting up the $400 raffle. The lady, she actually donated $100 back to us, which was really awesome. So again, just want to say thank you. And then also just inform you all to, if you could, please continue to support. Our numbers have doubled. We are currently now serving 410 households, which equates to 1,203 individuals monthly. We just had our USDA yesterday, and typically we would have 2 lines. We have 3 lines. We're expanding even more. And I had the privilege of being able to go to Feed More's networking conference last Wednesday and got to meet the CEO, Mr. Doug, and they are just so pleased with the service that we're providing because we are the only food pantry under them here in Amelia County. And they've heard nothing but good things. We also had a site visit yesterday for our USDA. Again, they were pleased with what we're doing. So we hope that you all continue to rally and support us. Mr. Morris, I haven't formally met you yet, but I know we have worked with Sean. So welcome aboard. We hope that you're able to stop by and visit us sometimes. If you can spread the word, we're still in the need of some male volunteers to have some manpower around there. Then also, there's been a little shortage of meat. Typically, it was our dry goods, but now with, I guess, bird flu, they're telling me something with the cattle. I don't know. But coming across meat has been a little challenging. We're trying to condition our clients that sometimes you may get it, take the eggs we give you, maybe make protein, trying to be creative. But we said canned meats or any fresh packaged meats, we are willing to accept. Piedmont Baptist Church has been really walking, Pastor Jason Morris is walking alongside us during the winter months. They provided deer meat for us, which was really helpful. So if any of these areas or capacities you can continue to support us or get the word out, we greatly appreciate it. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Worsham.
Hello, Martin Conkle, 16211 Church Street. I'll address the budget later. Is everything good with the sound?
Good sound, work on the video committee.
Gotcha. Okay. Sounds good. That's what matters. I have a quick question. I know this board has always been very firm on being open, transparent, and honest. And so I have a question to ask that could be easily answered with a show of hands. And Benji, good job earlier. You nailed a lot of things on the head. You get a pass on this because you weren't here last year. So But for the rest of you, just by a show of hands, I would like to know, I'm not asking for personnel information. I'm not asking for negative, positive. I just want to know, as Board of Supervisors, last year, who submitted their evaluation of the county administrator? So Dexter, David, Todd, Joseph, you did not raise your hand? Okay. That's all I wanted to ask for now. I'll come back budget time. Thank you.
I'm William Easter. I live at 6657 Buckskin Creek Road. Mr. Morris's district. I've been in Amelia since the day I was born. And Dexter, I'm not gonna tell us them how old we are. But anyway,
It was hatched now.
you about right. Benji covered just about everything I got on my list. The only thing that I want to find out is why we have, and he gave the figure, $750,000 of personal property taxes that we have not collected. Whose job is it to collect it? Somebody is supposed to collect this money. Whoever it is not doing their job. That's just the way I feel about it. I'm pretty short cut to the point. Somebody's not doing their job collecting the money. That's a lot of money. Also, I know we're talking about county stickers. I think if you gotta go up, we got to go up. But it would be very hard, a $5 add to your expenses. But it's gonna be very hard for the sheriff to enforce county stickers. County, if you don't have a sticker on a vehicle, how is his deputies gonna know if that person's in violation if they're supposed to have a sticker? I think we should go back to the old sticker system. It don't have to be an elaborate one like we used to have. Make it like or something where it's easy for the deputies to recognize. What's happening is people are licensed for 2 years. Okay, that middle year, DMV don't pay their tags because they don't know that they didn't pay the personal property tax on the car. You get what I'm saying? They just know one. Well, it's really the vehicle tax, but it's still all in the same. So we've got to collect this money. I mean, it's crazy that you're gonna go up on my stuff, everybody else here that pays their stuff and not enforce the ones that don't. That's just, I mean, that's the way the American way is now, but also it's my, and this is all room, sometimes taxes get waived. They just say, well, don't worry about it. Well, I wish I'd waive mine every year. And that's, I also want to say thank you. And I should have spoke to the chairman and all y'all members first before I started. Thank you. You got a rough job, but somebody got to make a decision. And if you can please 51% of the people, I've been in a lot of organizations, presidents and all, you're doing all right, because that's hard to do now. Thank you.
Thank you,
Can I
Chairman.
address this one comment before it keeps going? About the
Yes.
collections. So, Train,
Yeah.
before this just keeps going, this collections thing that Benji brought up. Apparently y'all haven't, I know not everyone's been at all these meetings, but Stephanie, and it's the treasurer's office who collects.
Okay.
Stephanie has presented this information, and I don't think it's fair for us to incorrectly throw Stephanie or her great staff under the bus.
I didn't hear Stephanie's name.
Well, I know, but you say who's responsible, and that's who's responsible. And they do a phenomenal job. They have presented this board the information. They have collected in the past year, the information they gave us is the actual highest in the past 10 years. They're doing better than ever before. And they're in some of the top counties for the state for collections too. So while it may sound like a large amount, we are one of the best for collections in the state. So I think people need to put it in perspective a little bit. and maybe don't have a good understanding of how the process works. So
Well, so what you're saying, Mr. East, I got a question to ask you. Another county is the same population I have.
we're working about
They
percentages.
collected their money or they got $750,000 out?
We're working about percentages, so it equates regardless of the size.
It's still, it needs to be collected.
Well, we all agree with that. That's why if you notice, she's selling off things, putting holds on, et cetera, and it continues. It doesn't stop now. She goes back for future past years too, and it continues to get collected.
Does it have to be advertised in the paper? I don't ever see it.
Oh,
It's maybe wrong.
it's there all the time. She just held an auction within the last couple of weeks. I know Jeff helps and others as well.
But it needs to be collected.
It's,
And how long far back?
they go
We
back.
got
Yeah.
people that have owed money.
I suggest you go sit down and talk to Stephanie. Their office has done a really good job.
Yeah, I want to clarify, I wasn't talking about staff now. It's people's responsibility to pay their taxes.
Yeah.
Back, Stephanie?
Thank you.
It did sound that way.
That's why I clarified it.
Right away, 1600 Road. I've been here over the last, well, since back in January, February, and talking to a young lady that comes over here with VDOT. They did a lot of road servicing last fall all through the county, and everything that they did last fall has come apart. It's all raveled up, pushed to the center and the side of the road, all the gravel stuff. I've been talking to her about it and said she's supposed to be carrying a message into Richmond or whatever. And back and forth, I was told that, she told me that they had decided they was gonna come in before midday and put a boom on the tractor and go around and clean all the gravel and stuff off the road. Well, that didn't happen either. The surface that they put down is defective. And what they're doing right now and the rest of the areas, it's the same surface that they did last fall. It didn't last 3 months. So now, if you go on 614, you see it, 682, you see it, 708, all of them that they did, it's all raveled, streaks in the road where the pavements come apart. And it's not fixed, edge of the road, this type thing. Well, we went back and forth. I got a receipt where I got a busted windshield from the gravel flying up the road. Not the first one. I done fixed 3 chips in the windshield. And on top of that, so I made another complaint. Well, this is what I got, because I made the statement that, you know, if we have vehicles on the road, we're required to maintain an inspection sticker on it for the safety of operating the vehicle. But who's maintaining the safety of roads where we can operate the vehicle on? Now, I ride a motorcycle. I'm not the only one in the county rides a motorcycle. Matter of fact, it's a large number of people in the county ride a motorcycle. Most of the guys ride motorcycles, ride Harleys. You ride a Harley, you buy high-test gas. You buy high-test gas, you buy road tax. It's as simple as that. But do we have roads safe for motorcycles? No. We've got gravel, loose gravel, it's very dangerous on the road. I get a letter from the commissioner telling me to take a motorcycle safety course. That's gonna fix the roads where I'm on the ride on safety. As a matter of fact, I've been riding motorcycles since 1962. I took a motorcycle safety course in 2008 with my wife, that she wanted to get her license. And I commend the safety course for riding. And I learned a lot of things that I didn't know from before. But this is not my first rodeo on the road on a motorcycle. Personally speaking, I've never had an accident. I've never been involved in an accident on a motorcycle. I've never gone down on a motorcycle. I'm just one of 2 people. I'm the one that's never gone down and one that's going down, one of the other. So that's going to happen. And I understand that it's a risk of getting on it, but it also needs to be a minimum of risk. But what I'm asking is, I've tried this the diplomatic way to go through to get this taken care of. It's all of our roads just falling apart. William Lee doesn't care what our road condition is. We used to have a maintenance shop down here. Now they got a repair shop. It's not a maintenance because they don't do any maintenance. It's all in Chesterfield. Yeah, I know we don't pay enough tax on it. We'll take care of that shortly, but anyhow. But I would like to see the board address this issue also, because all the citizens in the county is having to deal with this also. It's dangerous. There's truck wrecks and stuff. He told a truck run off the road. He did, because there's no shoulder, there's loose gravel on the road, the tires on the truck will slip if you got a load, and you get on the edge of the road and it goes over. There's nothing you can do to bring them back. But there's been several accidents in the last 6 months. 2/3 of it is caused by loose gravel stuff in the road. It happens in snow removal, but that stuff whips off to the side. This does not. It's a real road, right down the middle of the road. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Allison Cruz, with the Assa Landfill. Thankful to be here tonight. I'm glad we are on. Virginia, that was a very eloquent statement. I didn't feel like it. I don't know, it felt like a ghostwriter to me. It was also a comment. I hope the county citizens are starting to pay attention. We would not be in the situation we're in financially as a county if we had been getting proper trash money for many, many years. I still wonder how it's getting the trash money. It seems waste management isn't paying more than I want to do for getting those funds. All I see is a circus led by our county administrator. He likes to wear all the hats. He wants to wear all the hats. It helps him pull the strings. And I've been watching for a decade. So I want you all to remember that he works for you. For him. I'll invite you all to watch the most recent film committee. And Ken, but there's no audio, so it will be a puppet show. Of course. But to address a point made by Trina, actually, everyone's doing a job. And it could be a multitude of things. The county attorney is not emailing back since January. The other captains of the ship, I don't know which one I want to pick here at the table, if it would be the county administrator or the chairman of the board at the moment. But I thank you for your time, and I hope everybody pays attention, and I hope everybody can live with themselves. Thank you. Blessings.
Thank you, Al. Anybody else? Y'all see anybody stand outside the door? All right, I'll close the public comment at this time and we'll move on with our agenda. Brings us to VDOT.
Good evening, everyone. County Administration, members and chairman of the board. My name is Justin Pacini. I'm the Assistant Residency Administrator for Williams, Chesterfield Residency. And I'm here to present the report this month. President Engineer couldn't be available tonight. Our first cycle of primary and secondary routes are going to be kicking off. Primary, as weather permits, we're a bit wet right now for this type of work, but we'll get in there as we can. Secondary routes, we'll be starting off next week. First cycle of the year. Drainage on secondary routes. We've got a lot of work orders related to conveyance of roadway water to the ditch. So lots of shoulder work, lots of ditching. Also in advance of our surface treatment schedules, trying to get the roads prepped for that layer. Spraying, erosion, patching, and roadway improvements, again, ahead of the surface treatment schedule. For traffic studies and special requests, there's a couple of things on here. Sign and pavement marking sketches have been received for Route 360 crossovers at Route 360 Business, Route 658, that's Drunkard Road, and Route 671, Jetersville Road. Work has been sent to sign and pavement crews for implementation. I think we received those. Hopefully, we received those as well. The county staff, for their information, has this and has been sent to our sign and permanent American crews. We anticipate approximately 6 weeks for implementation from those crews. So,
Is that something that can be shared with us?
I was reading something else.
No,
we can make that available.
the board has not received what you're referring to. At least I have not.
Very well. We can get that sent over to you, sir. Shouldn't be an issue. Traffic review crash data at 23602 Five Forks intersection for safety improvement recommendations. The notes I have on that.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yes, ma'am.
Switch up mics on then.
So we anticipate receiving the signage recommendations by the end of this week. Then we will schedule the installation once we get that back from traffic engineering. Secondary 6-year plan update provided draft resolutions for fiscal 25 through 30, secondary 6-year plan and the fiscal year 25 budget for public hearing. Resident engineer made a note here. The draft resolutions have been provided for the secondary 6-year plan public hearing to take place next month. The board is free to make any changes to priorities until and even at the next meeting, and she's more than happy to attend those. On the construction side of the house, we've got 2 schedules presently working in Amelia County. ST4C at surface treatment, patching various routes on the surface treatment project. Surface treatment itself is expected to occur mid-summer, July, usually when temperatures are optimum. It's when we first start seeing that occur. And for plant mix PM4C, Route 38 paving has been completed. So those are the notes that I have tonight, sirs. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I got a question. I haven't checked the roads Mr. Light was talking about. Is there a different recipe or something that y'all are using that possibly causing this? I don't know if it's true or not.
So there was a conversation about those routes. Those routes were brought to our attention a few months ago now, and we have since expanded the footprint of that operation. Come to find out, we're working with the contractor from last year's schedule, who also has this year's schedule, to determine a cause and a fix. So VDOT has been talking to the contractor, has made it known that this is not going to be a suitable way, look, and feel. So they're committed to their product and getting a fix in place.
So using that contractor or?
We're one of the biggest ones in the Commonwealth, sir. And typically low bid, so the bidder wins.
But you are looking into it?
Yes, sir.
Like that.
Yes, sir.
I got some one, and I know this comment's gonna fall on deaf ears, but I told some of my constituents that I would bring it up. Y'all pick 604, so airport runway, or interstate, I call it. Because I have to travel that in the mornings with traffic's going through there, and it's scary. 609 just about as good. But the residents in that area, especially Pine Grove area, when are y'all gonna do something with Genito Road and 616? There is probably 4 of the 18-wheeler traffics run that road as runs 360. Now, I'm just throwing a number out there, but it is a heavy traveled tractor and trailer road. It is so narrow that you cannot pass unless you stop and somebody gets in a ditch. And there is no shoulders on 616. And some of them ditches are about 2 foot deep because I've been in them. And, you know, the folks are complaining about it. Y'all fixed 2 of the roads in the county. I mean, they're super, did an excellent job, yet that road is a problem. And last fall, a lady died on that road. There's constantly trucks turning over. Not just log trucks, cement trucks, and whatever. The road is dangerous. It is narrow. I told them I would say that, and I did my job.
I can say that the plan for us is to continue on the design for the 604 bridge. I think that bridge has been a concern, not so much a concern, something that we would like to get rehabilitated. For a while. It's part of the good repair program for VDOT. That bridge is, from what I understand, in design. I can't speak for all of 616, but I can assume that some traffic is moving from 604 over 616 to 609 to get across the Appomattox. So our assumption is if we can get traffic, truck traffic in particular, to stay on 604, that would be, it'd be less traffic on that portion of 616. I can't speak for all of it.
It's up toward Morven too, 681 Crossroad. It's not just 609 and 16, the whole road through there. There's several logging outfits that's stationed up in there. There are trucks on the road constantly.
Sir.
And, the people complaining about it, I hear it probably once a week from somebody I run into.
This may be a good topic for resident engineer during the secondary 6-year plan workshops or talks that you guys have with the department regarding your priorities as a county moving forward. As a maintenance program, my section of the residency, we're charged with maintaining the roadways in kind, meaning asphalt primary routes are typically treated in such a manner. Surface treated routes on the secondaries, as we'll say, the back roads, those are typically handled under the surface treatment schedule. So 616 has traditionally been that type of a route, sir. But conversation can be had between the county and the department regarding improvements to that particular route, if the board so desires, from my understanding.
Okay.
Can hit my part.
Can we find out about this stop sign on 38 and 153 and Bevel's Bridge and 38? I talked to her, I guess it's been 2 months ago, about maybe a LED stop sign, with the flashing red lights around it.
She brought it up today.
It should be a cheap fix.
It's part of that intersection study that traffic engineering is presently doing. Admittedly, it's an interesting stop sign right there to the side a little bit. So yeah, we need to increase conspicuity out there. That would be my assumption that the trained professionals will recommend in that intersection. So more to come based on what that study says, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. We got one with reflective. Park around it, painted.
We don't. See, we're in LA. We got a leftover sign from somewhere else. Yeah.
That brings it to the school board.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Mr. Harvey. The end of April K-12 enrollment was 1515, pre-K-12 enrollment 1598, and final ADM for the year 1514.62 or 1515 rounded. At the May school board meeting, we recognize the student representatives to our school board, Ms. Victoria Daniel and Mr. Caleb Klein, our middle school FFA team members, and senior Lorelei Mayberry, who signed to return to ACPS upon completion of her teacher preparation program. The last day of school is next week, Wednesday, May 22nd. The elementary school will celebrate Super Kids Day on that date. Kindergarten promotion was Friday, May 10th. Fifth grade promotion is Monday, May 20th, and eighth grade promotion is Tuesday, May 21st. Graduation is upon us. Our seniors were recognized last week for over $800,000 in scholarships. And they're also recognized this evening for their future plans at tonight's red carpet event. This year's graduation ceremony will be conducted at the high school at 10 a.m. on Saturday, May 18th, and tickets to graduation are distributed to students the day prior to the event. Mr. Trump is here to review the April financial reports and present some appropriation requests.
Good evening. Tonight I'm sharing with you the April FY24 finance report. At this point in the year, we would anticipate our operational revenues and expenditures being about 76.5%. We are below that mark with revenues and expenditures at 67.3%. This significant difference is primarily due to expenditures currently in process including the purchase of one school bus, including the FY24 budget, the painting of the elementary school that was contracted earlier this year, and significant security grant funded improvements in all three schools and BPSA funded technology purchases. In the textbook fund, expenditures are at 9.82%. In Fund 4, that's our all-in funds, expenditures are at 13.9%. And Fund 5, the construction fund, still is at 0% expenditures. As you know, we've contracted with the design firm for the CTE building. And that process is ongoing. We just haven't been invoiced for any completed work at this time. In the cafeteria fund, expenditures through April are at 63.12%. Spend down the excess balance is proceeding, but the spend down amount to date has decreased due to the receipt of the additional school nutrition funds received since their appropriation in a prior meeting. As a quick budget update, at Monday's meeting of the school board, I presented a revised budget for ACPS in line with the total local contribution proposed in the published county budget and state funding information that was available from the conference committee's budget. And that was what was available at the time of publication of our board information. However, as you all know, the state budget for the FY 25-26 biennium did pass the legislature and was signed by the governor on Monday. The final budget has been released and changes have been made that will affect the required local effort and required local match for Amelia County. So I want to go ahead and share some preliminary information that's already been shared with Mr. Harbians and county staff. I want to make sure it's shared here as well for some of the deliberations you'll have this evening. The major changes came in the areas of sales tax revenue, basic aid, and infrastructure and operations per pupil funding. First, projected sales tax revenue for public education, revenues for public education were reduced. This was due to the conference committee's proposed sales tax for digital services being removed from this final agreement in the state budget. So, second, and tied to that, basic aid in the state budget increased. This happened because sales tax in the state budget is used as an offset to basic aid. I've given the example before where if the state says we need $10 million for public education in Amelia and $2 million is coming in sales tax, the remaining 8 is what's split between the state and the locality using our composite index. Well, if you take that sales tax figure down from 2 million to 1, that means $9 million. It's split between the locality and the state. So in the final calculations template, you'll see that state sales tax figure going down and the basic aid figure going up in relation to that sales tax amount in our composite index. What that also means, though, is that basic aid figure still has to be fully funded through required local effort. So the state basic aid will go up, and the required local effort for the county will also go up to make up for that sales tax change. Finally, infrastructure and operations funding was increased significantly. This is something we had not heard discussed. We did not anticipate. As I shared in a previous presentation, the per pupil allocation for infrastructure and operations was proposed originally at $409.62 per pupil. The final state budget increased that to $446.67 per pupil. Once again, this funding is, this amount is expected to be matched between the state and the locality. So we'll see an increase there as well. We hope to have a calculations template from the Department of Education by the end of next week, with which we can confirm the exact figures for what required local effort will be moving forward. However, these changes are pretty simple, so we can make some rough projections. At this time, we anticipate a decrease in state funding of about $21,000 total, and an increase to the local match requirement of close to $77,000. This is important information for you all, the public, to hear prior to the public hearing. As you consider the budget, I wanted to make sure you were aware of these changes. And as soon as a calculation template is provided by the state, I will provide an updated figures exactly to our ADM and enrollment estimates for both boards and for both county and school administration to ensure you have those details as soon as possible. That's all I have for finance reports and budget update. If you have any questions, more than happy to take those before we discuss appropriations.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So for your approval this evening is an appropriation in the amount of $27,600. These are funds made available to Amelia County Public Schools through the state's Learning Acceleration Grant. These funds are specifically being provided by the state to support additional Lexia licenses. That's a reading and literacy computer program for students to support tutoring efforts at the elementary school and middle school. There's no local match required for these funds. Would you like to hear both?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Also for your approval this evening is an appropriation in the amount of $50,000. These funds have been awarded to Amelia County Public Schools through the Elementary School Literacy Implementation Support Grant. These funds are being provided by VDOE to support staff professional development, to support literacy instruction, and also have no local match. Those are the two appropriations I have for this evening.
All right. The second one wasn't included in our workbook. Did everybody get that email?
Yes,
Yes.
the Lexia one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I appreciate you allowing that to be presented this evening. I know it's outside of your timeline, but as you saw from the supporting documentation, we actually just applied for it in the early last week, and we got the announcement that we need to get started with things on Friday of this last week. So this rough week between board meetings is kind of an odd timeline sometimes.
But both require no local funding.
Correct.
What's the board's pleasure?
Make a motion, we approve both of them.
As in both of them, one of them is for $27,600
Correct.
and the second one is for $50,000.
Yes, sir.
Is all right if I put that in your motion, Mr. Jones?
Yes, total $77,600.
Motion on the floor to make the two appropriations to the school budget with no local match of, you want to say your figure?
$77,600 from the state.
Any discussion? What's the vote? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries.
Thank you so much.
All right, that brings us to emergency management appropriation request. Mr. Emerson is here tonight. He can explain it to us. This is, from what I know, this is mainly due to a increase in rates from the ESS contract. Mr.
Yes.
Emerson, do you like to add to that?
That is the primary reason for the increase. There was also an increase in the amount of hours that the paid staffing have to cover per week at the request of the emergency squad, as well as some very recent changes that are coming down from the state regarding pharmaceuticals and the requirements that are going to be required for all EMS agencies across the state. And all of those together are the figure that I've included in the letter.
No supporting documents.
I don't have any additional right now. If you would like it, if you would like more information, I can certainly provide that.
Yeah. We're trying to keep everything the same with everybody. So if you got an appropriation, we need documents supporting it, not just hearsay.
I can tell you figures, but I don't have a spreadsheet. That's probably what you're looking for. I don't have that.
Well, you got something from somebody saying that they're charging us more?
I don't have it with.
Well, I mean, not right now, I understand that.
We have that documentation that can be provided.
Absolutely.
And as Mr. Emerson said, the volunteers were unable to cover the Friday evening shift. So ESS, at the request of the emergency squad, provides another crew for those 12 hours from 6 p.m. on Friday until 6 a.m. on Saturday morning.
The budget was based on an assumption of 288 hours per week that were covered by a crew at $70 per hour for each crew.
I think we just need that kind of stuff.
has-
I think we just need that kind of stuff in there. So like, I say surge of calls. I don't doubt you. We know the surge, but just give for transparency for everyone who's having to foot the bill. I think we just need the charts and that kind of thing to go along with it to justify, because we know this is probably, EMS is probably the number one driver from a percent increase year over year. You know it better than anybody else in the county's budget. So it's even, I agree with what you're saying about fair for everybody, but in that particular case, it's even more important in this particular one, I think, for documentation. Yeah. I'm not sure we have a choice but to do it, but when it comes back with all that documentation, because we can't not pay EMS, but.
When somebody questions me, I like being able to explain it. That's
Yeah,
all it
we
is.
understand. Move we table this to the next meeting?
I was gonna add, I had a conversation with Kimberly today. Are we good to continue it? We can't continue this till next month. But your budget will run out, right?
We will run out before the end of the fiscal year, absolutely. At the rate we're going right now.
Somebody should have come earlier.
We held off. One of the reasons that we held off was to make sure that there would not be additional rate increases, and also to be able to come up with a accurate figure that we were going to need for the pharmaceutical changes. And those things are happening as we speak at the state level right now.
Was there a rate increase?
Was there a
Increase?
by the EMS contractor? Yes,
In the middle of a contract, they bumped it up on us?
yes,
How does that work?
that's part of the contract.
That they can just change them whenever?
With notice, yes.
That's really not a contract.
I'm saying.
That sort of sounds like some of these here tobacco contracts we used to get, no, it's contract one way, and that's not both ways.
Glad we're exiting this contract.
They did go up on it last spring, and we were able to negotiate to get 6 more months. So that's where we're at now.
Well, it's just
Better negotiate.
Hmm?
Better negotiate.
Well, we did negotiate to get further than already.
I assume we're going to have a workshop. Is this something he can bring to the workshop and we can do something the next day or two?
We're gonna have a continued meeting.
Is that something he can present then?
Yeah, that's the board's pleasure.
Yeah, I think everybody kind of wants some more information.
Okay, we can do that.
I'm assuming it's pretty
That's
quick.
true. It doesn't have to be next.
Oh, yes, you can have it this week. I just don't have it with me
Motion?
tonight.
Do you have a motion or?
Let's take no action on it.
Yeah.
Until further document,
Okay.
and we will have that
Okay.
during our next continued meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I agree with Mr. Robertson. If we're gonna require paperwork from one, we need to require it from everybody. Everybody fair across the board. Agreed.
All right, that brings us to the library.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I just have 2 small appropriation requests. These are grants from the Virginia Commission of the Arts that were paid for visiting artists to teach educational programs for Amelia residents at the library. They do require a 15% local match, but that was paid for by the Friends of the Hamner Public Library. So there were 2 deposits received, one for $425 on March 6th, the other for $1,428 on April 19th. So my request is just to have those appropriated to the library budget so we can pay our portion of the artist's fees.
Okay. What's the board's pleasure?
They have been deposited to. That's the kind of grant I like. You got the money before you ask for it.
That's right.
I make a motion to approve the 425 and the 1427.55.
Okay, motion on the floor to approve the 2 grants for the library. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. River Street. There you are, go ahead.
Fine. Ashley,
He's working.
you promised me the clicker tonight. All right, let's see. Good evening, Rob Taylor with River Street. Tonight also with me, I have the CEO of River Street, Eric Kramer, as well as the VP of Marketing, Greg Coltrane, and the VP of Marketing, Mike Manell, and the VP of Business Development, Greg Coltrane. So they're also in the audience in case there's any follow-on questions I can't answer. A quick update from our engineering group. We're still on target to start construction before the end of June. We'd also like to start conversations with the county about a possible groundbreaking event. We're looking at right now tentative date about June 19th. We'd like to find a location to hold that event, as well as get members of the Board of Supervisors and others to participate.
So is it firm, sorry, is it firm June 19th? Like we can schedule?
We have a tentative date.
Yeah, that's June, that's an odd date. That's Juneteenth. So that's that's a state holiday.
I got you.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll move it to another day, but sometime in the June, July timeframe, we'll reach out to the county and find out what a best date for you all. Okay. Again, finalize the plans for the Marlboro location, or Manboro location, as well as the Amelia CO. We're beginning the permitting for those two. Continuing on this month, we're looking at the final designs. We have another engineering group that we're using to confirm the final design, so we get those under construction here soon. We'll also be submitting the permits needed for the splitter cabinets in those locations as well. But again, we're still on target to start construction. We did participate in the Media Day Festival. There was the VP of Marketing and the VP of Business Development were there. We had a really good turnout at our tent. We were able to speak to a lot of people. There's a lot of interest in the county for the fiber. And as soon as we start getting the build, we'd like to participate in more events like that in the future. Again, here's just a map showing where the two locations that we're going to be kicking off the construction first. Again, we have the Manboro and the Amelia CO. The Manboro area also kicks down a little bit into Dinwiddie County. The Amelia CO is just down in this main downtown area. And here's a closer view of the Manboro initial serving area. And then a close-up view of the Amelia County CO. Are there any follow-on questions? I'll annotate the request to move the tentative date further out. We'll reach out to Mr. Harvey to come up with a better date.
It might be good, probably to work with Todd too, just because that'll probably be good to kick off down in Manboro area.
Yeah, they'd be tickled to death.
Yeah, he said he needs a location. You probably have a workout.
In the past, we've done it at volunteer fire departments or maybe libraries.
Right there.
Yeah.
That might be, we'd like to have a spot where we could have it inside in case the weather's bad that
We can
day.
do that. It's half a mile, 3/4 of a mile from where you're sitting in the building.
Okay.
So it's right up.
All right.
The road.
I'll reach out to Mr. Harvey, get the information, and we'll see if we can coordinate
Yeah, just
that.
let me know a time and a date when you want to do it. We can get into the fire department.
Okay.
Are y'all, starting in Amelia down there in, Manboro? You going over into Dinwiddie too, right?
Part of it will, yeah, so the CO, keep in mind, when we put that data hut there, it will serve up to so many miles circular, so there's some feed down going into Dinwiddie as well.
That's understood. Are you gonna be running the lines to the residents in Dinwiddie before you move to the rest of Amelia?
I don't know. My thought is they'll start the Manboro CO build and then they'll start building out from there. Now, are we going to be going into Dinwiddie before we finish the rest of Amelia? more than likely, because we're already building in that area as well.
Yeah, because there's residents in other parts of Amelia asking, when will you be there? And if they ask, I said, well, they're in Dinwiddie. What are they doing in Dinwiddie?
Well, we have builds going on in Dinwiddie as well, but as soon as I get more information as to when we'll start the other COs or the other locations, I'll bring those to the board as well.
But that's a good question. Does it all have to be sequential, or will you have crews doing multiple areas at the same time?
We'll have crews doing multiple areas at the same time.
Because it does make a difference if you're doing another part of Amelia while you're doing Dinwiddie versus we've moved on, we're only.
No. We'll be building Amelia County out, and we will be building out Dinwiddie simultaneously. It will be two different contractors, sets of crews and everything else.
That does make a
difference. We're not going to be starting Amelia, jump over to Dinwiddie, and then come back to me. And no, that's not going to happen. No.
Now, are they running this fiber optic on the edge of the road, or are they doing it in the power easement?
No, so most of our work is done in the VDOT right of way. So we typically don't go in the power easement unless they are one and the same.
And you are boring under driveways.
Yes, sir. We're supposed to be boring under driveways. We'll be doing most of the stuff. We will do the trenching, but whenever we get under driveways or other structures, we bore underneath.
Yeah, because surrounding counties, companies doing that. I've heard a lot of horror stories about driveways getting tore up and not being fixed back. They just going right through. But most of the crews don't speak English doing this.
They could trench through my driveway. I don't care.
Where you live in LA?
I don't think anybody down there would care if they got internet.
All right, any more questions, sir?
No, sir.
Reverend?
Sounds
Thank you,
good.
sir.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. All right, brings us to our supervisors' activities and committee reports. Mr. Robinson, you want to go first?
I ain't do nothing.
Good. Is that it?
That's it.
All right, Mr. Easton, you top that?
Depends on how you want to count it, I guess. I'll just go a different direction. How about that?
Make me look good.
So Saturday was Amelia Day. It was great to see the pictures from River Street on there. Glad to have them as a sponsor and a participant. It was a good day, but I particularly want to call out Daryl Goff and all the Public Works employees for their great assistance this year and always with Amelia Day. They are invaluable to all the citizens of Amelia, and we greatly appreciate them. Today was also a great event, a coordinated event with the Amelia Economic Development Authority and the Amelia Chamber of Commerce, holding the Business Appreciation Luncheon. And again, county employees are to be commended. Glenn Wilkerson and all of the staff from Parks and Rec were invaluable as we had to move that event inside due to, as you know, rain. But that was a very successful event as well. Doing that a couple of years now, and really appreciate the opportunity to show our thanks to all the businesses and employees throughout Amelia. And those were two really good events that I just wanted to highlight from that. Thank you all of our county employees.
All right, Mr. Jones?
CRC meeting this morning, and nothing really that jumps out about Amelia other than the CRC board is getting a lot of changeover on the folks who's running it now. I think it's been 2 or 3 different positions now being changed. And I would like to thank everybody who put on the day. It looks like that was a great turnout, and it was a lot of people that enjoyed it. And it's another plus for events in Amelia County where we keep everything as local as possible to be Amelia. That's the way I look at it.
Mr. Moore?
I want to echo that. I've been going to Amelia Day all my life, and that's the biggest, best I've seen. So thank you for everybody that had their hands in that. Had landfill meeting. I hope I get the name right. We have a new environmental manager. Is that the right title?
Tomorrow.
Starting tomorrow. He came to our meeting at Royce. Did I say it? Royce Coleman. So welcome, Royce. That was the big thing about me.
Okay. All right, I'll just echo the Amelia Day. I've been going to it for years, and that was the biggest I think I've ever seen. So I appreciate everybody coming out to that. Had a jail board meeting today, nothing out of the ordinary. Social Services Board meeting this morning. Met the new Social Services Director. I welcomed her to Amelia and talking to a few citizens about budget stuff. About what I've been doing. So. All right.
Before we go into the next topic, looks like I got a message here. The Civil War reenactment special event permit looks like that was ready, and so we should be able to do that at our continued meeting. They'll get that paperwork over to us at the continued meeting next week. We should be able to move forward with that one then. So it's just a little bit of back and forth on that, it looks like. It's just system development was next.
Okay.
But
Since you mentioned the continuing meeting, I also got on there, we talked about the VDOT 6-year plan, but we'll confirm that up. I think we talked about it at our workshop or two ago.
yeah, that's true.
All right.
That was good.
Just, Mr. Harvey, do you remember, because this was fresh on my mind, and I don't know, most of these folks out here might not even know it. When they had the Civil War reenactment in Sheila down on the Keep On. When was it, early 60s, mid 60s? I was little, I was,
I think it was about 64.
I don't know if any of y'all realize that, but we had one right there down next to Flat Creek. And it had to be around 64, God put me at.
It was the centennial. I just don't know which date of the war that they were referring to, the start or the end.
Yeah, okay.
You had a couple of the Toics that were important too. That was in the 80s.
Yeah, this was back in the 60s, and I was small, and I remember going to it.
In the 80s, you had Toics.
Yeah.
They show up in LA every year when they open church up.
Oh, yeah. And you sniping at them the whole time, aren't
They sniping.
Well, that's, most of the board won't hear the 60, so we can't help you. All right, folks, trying to lighten the mood a little bit. That brings us to wastewater treatment permit. Gentlemen, we had the letter, we've all read it. Mr. Harvey, do you have any additional comments to this?
I think it's pretty straightforward. This wastewater treatment plant was developed and permitted sometime 2006, 2007. It was because of a development that was proposed to go on to Potts track, the Redstone track. There was going to be such an impact over there. Part of the project was going to build a wastewater treatment plant that feeds into Smacks Creek. We would have to close down Nibbs Creek at the same time because we could only discharge for a certain amount. Smacks Creek does not have the flow that Nibbs Creek does. So the discharge limits are much stricter for anything over there. And the annual cost to carry this, I think, is tripled now. So we feel like there's really, I guess the board 2 years ago did some serious examination of expansion of the wastewater plant, the extension of some lines. And we all got a real taste about how much it was going to increase cost if we did anything. If we do anything at all, was advocated that we go closer to the river so we didn't have to meet the most stringent of guidelines. So we see no chance in ever building anything there. If it came up to be necessary, it would be on the developer to build it, probably with a different set of plans and specs. We just recommend and let the permit go. And obviously that letter's from Sam Carroll, the engineering firm that designed the plant and manage our existing.
Is it costing us anything?
It
Money-wise?
will be
Yeah.
if we don't turn the permit in.
No, we need to.
It saves $9,000 a year.
Well, that's just money. There's no need to throw that money away.
Probably no good anyhow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody put that in form of a motion?
Just has one question, although I agree with you.
Sure.
Those subdivisions from back then, were those actually approved? Like, are they still valid approval for subdivisions? Do you remember? Like, could they still go build those?
I don't think so. I think there was a foreclosure, a deed in lieu of foreclosure. I think that there were many things that needed to be done to keep the process moving that just lapsed.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'll make a motion to approve what do we want to say, the expiration of the permit for the Smacks Creek wastewater treatment plant.
Thank you, Mr. Easter. Motion on the floor to let the permit of the Smacks Creek expire. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, folks. That brings us to the public hearing for the proposed FY25 budget. Before I open the public hearing, does anybody have any comments? I will say that there has been a lot of work done to bring the citizens something, whether you like it or not, but there has been a lot of work, a lot of numbers to get to where we are right now.
Oh, yeah, when you finish.
I'm good.
I will say, I know a lot of people are going to be upset and totally against something. But at the same time, when you present that, give us some other ideas. Those are some other thoughts for us to look at.
All right.
Well, the biggest increases that we incur in the county is
3 of them.
EMS, fire, sheriff, school. It's all services. So it's either we cut services or we increase. And that's basically where we're at.
And that's almost the majority of the whole budget. Is them right there.
Yeah. Compared departments to, I think it was 13 or 14 other counties that have the same size citizens as we do and larger, up to 20,000. And almost every department is in line for operating cost. So it's not like we're heavy in any department. I guess everything's still up in the air. That's, I'm gonna shut my mouth after that.
Well, can I just add, I think you're saying it very well. I think the cost of these services have gone up dramatically over the years, partially just because of the cost of things in the world. Others, because the services are more in demand. So as Kent was saying earlier, we are seeing a dramatic increase in the number of usage of some of our services, like the public safety ones. Significant demand increases on fire, EMS, and sheriff's department. And then on top of that, particularly with EMS, where we see the largest increase in spending, we see a decrease in the volunteer base. And so we're, just in my portion, 5 years that I've been on the board, we're $1 million and more increased in EMS costs just per year in my time period. And I do see comments from people about wasteful spending. I don't think there's wasteful spending in any of this. People can disagree about what it is spent on, but I don't think there's wasteful spending in all of that. As you're saying, your comparison, we're we're at or below what other counties are spending. We've cut where any kind of fat would be. So a combination of the increases and the historical lack of increasing taxes, it just comes to a rough point. And that is my biggest disagreement with Mr. Morris's letter from earlier is I was one of the ones who've been arguing that this has been coming for a while and we need to solve it over the last years. We knew it. This isn't a surprise this year. And the fact that the majority of board members over the last couple of years wouldn't address it, we're now at the cliff. And I think you called it a cliff at one point. I agree with you on that statement too. Citizens pay the price for lack of action over the last couple of years.
All right, any more comments?
Yes, I have one. This morning, when I was sitting in another board meeting and I was talking to some supervisors from Lunenburg and Buckingham County, and we were discussing this. We on par with what I understand if we have to raise that word, taxes, we will still be on par with Lunenburg County. They are talking about raising theirs the same level. And penny-wise, we're gonna hit right there. The gentleman from Buckingham said, I only can wish our real estate tax would be that low. And he named his off, and it was in the mid-50s. What they were paying, that's just real estate now in Buckingham County. So they're quite a bit larger county than we are. And that's what they pay up there. So even though we may have to increase, we're still at the bottom of the state list on the prices, which doesn't comfort nobody, but it's a fact. Something we gotta live with.
You good?
Begin.
All right, there were copies out front, I'm assuming, of budgets. No, there was one out there, I'm assuming it was some. Anyway, it's been advertised. This time I will open the public hearing for the proposed FY 25 budget. Please come up and speak, state your name, your address. Folks, it's all grown-ups. Let's try to keep it to 3 minutes. I don't want to be the stopwatch man, but let's try to keep it to 3 minutes. Give everybody an opportunity to talk.
All right, Martin Falco, 16211 Church Street. Now, as y'all probably recognized, I've been here part of many other, trying to make most of the budget workshops. I've been trying to follow this since the beginning. And I do have some proposals. I agree. I don't think you just come up here and say, well, don't do this or do that, figure it out. I do think it is a good thing to bring ideas. I do think we need to address some of what has gotten us where we are now. Because at the end of the day, I do think accountability is very important. That's why I asked earlier, are you guys doing your job on that end? And thank you all for most of you doing that. But we have had issues in the past. Some, just from this current board, been better than most. Much of the past board, and while we said the past board needed to raise taxes in the past, at the same time, how many times are we spending on feasibility studies and engineering studies and plans for $10 million ballparks and on the Himmel building? At the same time, there's a lot of money being wasted by a past board. So I don't think that's so much in the clear. We have as I've seen it, there's some issues with the past financial director made some big mistakes. There was a lack of oversight from the county administrator. And it's very well documented over the many issues that are in our Commissioner of Revenue's office. But the key point of all that is these issues are within the greater whole of our local government. And the way this budget is proposed, as it is written now, so the burden on those past mistakes of our local government as a whole on us, the citizens, through these tax raises. And that is my problem. It comes back to accountability. This is supposed to be a fairly conservative county. We're supposed to be usually, I mean, we vote for fairly conservative candidates in state and national elections, yet I'm sorry, the way I see it, in my opinion, we're kind of taking the DC way out of it. Just keep our government, we make mistakes, and just pass the burden along to the taxpayers. So I do have some solutions that were not brought up within these workshops, and I would just like to know why. And before we get to that, the EMS that we just talked about, thank you for bringing up the documentation. One thing I'd really like to see answered as far as the EMS goes, though, maybe it could be brought up during the continuing meeting. As I was going through the board packet, as I was sitting there, I noticed there was only 390,000 for the year out of a proposed 600,000. I think as a citizen, I would like an answer to that. And I think when more departments in that end, be it, even though I know y'all don't have control of the Commissioner of Revenue's office or not, I think when we're not making our projected revenue that was, projected like this. Looks like we're supposed to bring in 600,000. We only brought in 390. The fiscal year's almost over. Why? As a taxpayer, I like to know, is it a billing issue? Was it just a misprojection from the beginning? What happened there? But some ideas to kind of get us out of this to where it's not all the burden being placed on us taxpayers. And I do understand that the real estate tax should probably go up a little bit because it's well documented. The assessment was not as it should have been. And we probably over equalize that. So a few cents to kind of put that back to where it should be is fair. I don't think we should raise the personal property tax one bit. And machinery and tools has been very much below everybody else, and it has done nothing to attract business here as it was. So I think that's fair to raise in small increments. But another thing could be furlough days for county employees. We're not cutting anybody's pay. We're just giving them unpaid time off. And maybe a compromise to that is maybe make it optional. I have a hard time believing that there's not some employees of the county that would be happy to take some unpaid vacation. And if one furlough day for every employee in this county equals to about $20,000. So a week of furlough, that could give us back about a cent. 2 weeks of furlough is at least a cent back on our real estate tax increase. Just an idea, but it's nothing I was seeing covered by this board, any of the workshops. And I know y'all don't have any control over the school, but when you compare ourselves to other school districts, and there's plenty out there, we spend too much per student. I still think that figure needs to come down and leave it up to the school administration. That's what they get paid all that money for. And our school board, that's what they're elected for, to figure out what we're doing in this county, why other counties can do better with less money per student. Because I don't think, as I said many times before, I don't think we have a money problem there. I think the money's not going where it should. You're right, the biggest increases in EMS, fire, sheriff, and school. I just came back from my second home in West Virginia. It has 35-cent real estate tax. Okay? They don't have the level of government services that we have here. Some people, that might be an issue. I can tell you out there, it's really not. And it's really not a bad place. And there's other counties out there, rural counties, the size of our population stuff, that do not have the size of the government services that we have. And I promise you, one of these places, going there all my life, they function and they're just fine. So there's a few ideas I have, and take with it what you will. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's me again. Mr. Chairman, board members, Mr. Harvey. Back to what we were talking about, just try to make everybody accountable for what they do. I didn't really mean it to sound like I was trying to get somebody fired or nothing like that. But I handle the right large size budget in my job for the state. And there's always ways you can cut money. You might not think so, but it's always ways that you can cut a percentage. Well, I've heard some people say, well, that's not going to balance the budget. No, but it might not make me pay 3%. I could pay 2%. And be fair with everybody. I might get shot from behind, but we all know we live in a free society. The only way a free society could survive is by paying taxes. No more than it takes to survive and give us a rainy day fund. You have to have a rainy day fund. I don't think anybody in here runs their checkbook down to $5 every month. If they do, then. But just try to be fair. Y'all got a tough job. I told y'all that to start with. You got a tough job. And remember that the economy, about what I'm getting ready to say, everybody know whether I'm a Republican or Democrat. Cost of living has changed 20 to 28% in 4 years. Well, so has the bills that the county gets, so has the bills walking the grocery store. So just do the best you can do to try not to, and I know that's what you're going to do. Because when my taxes go up, y'all's go up too. Same percent. So thank you for the job y'all do.
Thank you, Trainer.
Yeah, Megan too. Bobby Light, 1600 Richmond Road. I've been following this all along this year, followed it all along last year. Watched the paths it was taken. Watched each one of y'all as y'all got involved into the budget and different things. But what I did see is a couple of things. You got involved in the budget when it was budget time. Well, budget time is all year long. You should be involved in a budget every time you have a meeting, every time something goes on, every month of the year. That's the only way you will balance a budget. You can't jump in here the last 2 months and say, we're going to fix this. No, you head it off at the pass. And it has not been headed off at the pass for the last 6 years that I know of. And I've seen changes in it. And I'll say this again, like some of them might get shot in the back, but I'll say this. This county has spoke out in the last 2 years because they got tired of the way things was going the years before that. We elected y'all because y'all were supposed to be different, make a difference, and change the stuff that's been going on in the county. That's what y'all ran on. That's what y'all claimed that y'all was interested in doing. That's what we want. That's all the citizens tell. We're tired of the good systems we've heard of. Stuff to happen the right way. One thing that you need to remember that you're involved in when you took on the job as a supervisor. You took on more responsibility than I think you realize. You took a commitment to serve the people of this county, but what you also took a commitment to do was for the people that cannot speak up for themselves, there's people that cannot do for themselves. I heard up here tonight that the food bank is feeding 400 people. I heard up here tonight that the trucks is running off the side of the road because there's more traffic. Well, I've heard for the last 2 years, we need to grow. Well, when we grow, this is what we get. When the county grows, the expenses grow, but the revenues won't grow with it. And I heard about Buckingham County, places up there, their tax rate, but their appraisal of their property is way lower per acre and per value square foot homes is what it is here. So when you take that into consideration too, which I know that y'all are very aware of, but at the end of the day, there's one thing that you have to realize. Talk about the schools. What's going on in the schools? I'd say probably 5 months out of this year, you've had people coming in and complaining about what's going on in the schools. But the schools is, gotta have the school system where it is. Now that schools are wrong. We're getting things going on by the generation that's growing up in the schools that's been taught lack of discipline, accountability, and responsibility. That's what we got here in this county. We can't bring in businesses in this county because we don't have any workers. If you want to see what our workforce is, go to McDonald's, go to Hardee's. That's what you get. You can't get a business for people like that. And that's what we're producing here. So it's bigger than just this year's budget. You got to stop and see what's causing this to happen. And if you don't stop and see that, fix that, we're just going right on down the rabbit hole. But at the end of the day, everyone that votes, agrees, and sends out money to the schools and the things that's going on, and I say especially the schools, is because what is being taught to those kids, you're paying for that to be taught to those kids. It's just as much your responsibility it is that the schools is doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Jake Ryle, 17,341 Poorhouse Road. I've spent a lot of hours looking through the budget, building some spreadsheets and looking at some things. And a lot of those hours spent with staff, working with staff, and them doing a really good job of explaining to me some of the assumptions that were made and the way the budgets were built. And I would say, based on that analysis, a lot of good work has been done. Good effort to balance the budget, to understand what's going on, to really dig into the things, both what's happened in the past, where we're going, what we're doing. There's been a lot of good work done. And I would say you all set some clear expectations for staff. Staff put a lot of effort into following a good process. When you have clear expectations, you have a good process, you get a good product typically. And I would say, in this case, the product's pretty good based on my looking at it. There's one piece of the budget that I'm not fond of, and that's the meals tax. I think when you add a new tax category, you need to add new services for that category. I think we have a developing restaurant sector with a lot of potential in Amelia, and I don't think the meals tax is going to help that develop. I think it's a bad time for it. There may be a time when the meals tax is right, but I don't think now is. We've seen a lot of churn in the restaurant business, a lot of restaurants opening and closing. I see a lot of people in the restaurants these days. So I think it's developing. I think it's coming along, but I think it'd be a bad time to put the meals tax in place. And I think there's also a potential for loss of business. I've talked to some people about this meals tax, and they say, hey, we've got these people driving up 360, they're stopping the restaurants, we can get tax money from folks that are just passing through. But I suspect that those people that are stopping regularly notice that there's a difference in the price of their meal at McDonald's and Hardee's in Amelia, or if they stop in Chesterfield. And we want them to do that. We want them to notice there's a price. We want them to stop in Amelia, because if they stop in Amelia to go to the restaurant here, then maybe they stop at the Food Lion or the CVS or on the gas stations as well. But once there's not a difference anymore, and they get to Amelia and they'd say, well, we can go another 20 minutes on up to Chesterfield and pay the same price, and we can go in the stores there while we're there. It's just as easy. And I'm speaking from some experience. When I was working, I was driving around the Richmond area. I knew the difference in the price and the meals I got at fast food places in Chesterfield and in the city of Richmond. And I'd make a point, people drive up the road for 2 cents less gas. They'll drive a little ways for 20 cents less meal. And they just kind of get in that habit. So I think for those reasons, I would pull the meal tax out of what you're doing. Otherwise, you guys are doing a lot of good work. I appreciate what you're doing. I know it's hard decisions to make, but the balanced budget is where you need to be. I think we all agree on that going forward. And you've done a lot of good things for that.
Jay, hold on a second. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to come up here and actually sit and ask questions and actually dig and do your own research. So thank you for doing that.
Oh.
Anybody else?
Robin Whittington, 13601 Genito Road. I've been in this room wearing a lot of different hats over the 20 years I've lived here. I've been a county employee, state employee, teacher, parent, and now I serve on the school board. So I come to you tonight just as a citizen who happens to have worn those hats at different times. I appreciate what Mr. Morris said in the beginning, and I didn't plan to say anything tonight until he said that. It reminded me, I just thought it was interesting, that 6 years ago tonight, the Board of Supervisors were in this room having the same discussion. And I happened to have what I read that night. So I looked back over it to see what still applied. So on May 15th, 2018, there was a proposed 2-cent increase to the real estate tax that failed. And in my speech, I said that, I stand here as a citizen of Amelia County, former ACHS teacher, mother of 4, soon to be 5, now that's 6 children. And I talked about what was at that point a $200,000 proposed cut to the school system from the local contribution. At the end, I said, I'm more than willing, ready, and able to pay an increase in my real estate and personal property taxes to see an increase in public services for Amelia County. I stand by that today, and I think a lot of the community feels the same way. A lot of people have stood in this room and brought that up time and time again. And as you all said, here we are at the cliff. So I stand before you asking you to approve the increase in the tax rate in order to fund public services. And I also stand before you to ask that you continue to commit to support the school system at that required local effort, required match level as a good business principle that allows the school system to take full advantage of every funding dollar from every other funding source and not leave dollars on the table. So I appreciate your commitment to do that thus far, and I ask that you continue that in light of the school system constantly getting more information from the state and where that state budget is eventually going to land on a final dollar figure. You've also asked for some ideas. So one idea that I have, and I've only learned this because I've worn this recent hat of school board member, I think that the county could benefit. You've asked for some documentation tonight, and I love that, and it got me thinking. Every month, the school board gets a report that has every invoice that's been signed. And maybe that's something the county needs to look at as a publicly available report on your side from each department. Just an idea. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Harvey. As you know, I'm Sean Rozier with STEPS. I'm Vice President of Housing. And I just came tonight to, first of all, commend you on all of your efforts that we've been hearing about. And then I know I came before you on March 28th with a request to assist. We talked about those who cannot do for themselves, the homeless of the county. And you gave me feedback around that request. And I have gotten with the other counties involved, and we have revised that request down to $25,000 per county. And so we also would like to offer up an idea. I know this is a difficult time to make requests. So at some juncture, when you feel the time is right, if you could support, across 4 fiscal years at $6,250 when the time is right for you. This is a one-time request, so I think it's important that the people here know that this is to support supportive housing for the homeless, and it is we've structured it with the Virginia Supportive Housing Agency in such a way that there will be no ongoing operational requests for these services, which is important because we want to see the vulnerable in our communities to have access to housing and self-sufficiency to gain their own housing. And we want to do that, though, in a way that does not add to the burdens of the 6 counties that we serve. So just wanted, to update you with that. And also to let you know there's going to be a community engagement meeting on Tuesday, June 4th at 6 p.m. At the Moton Museum to talk about the project. Everyone is invited. One of the main features of talking about this is because it's located, the land in Farmville where this is going to be built is located on land previously attributed to the Israel Hill community, where previous enslaved individuals were freed and given land. So this project that we're embarking on will not only provide housing for the homeless, but then we're looking for ways to honor the history and the accomplishments of those that lived there on Israel Hill. So that's Tuesday, June 4th at 6 p.m. I know appreciate your patience with me doing that at this time, but I felt this was an opportunity to let everybody know. And certainly we want to work with the county. If you could consider perhaps at some point some form of a resolution or something that expresses your commitment to have citizens here in Amelia have access to this service and your intent to support it financially when the county is able to do so, we would be grateful. Yes.
Can I just ask one question?
Sure.
So it's very clear you reduced the total to 25,000. I just to be clear, you're not then also asking for 25,000 at one time. You're saying we can spread that out over 4 years. You're just asking for a commitment for the 25,000 in general at this point.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your consideration.
Tony Easter, 14,000 Chula Road. Dexter's my man. Guys, I know y'all got a tough job. I tell you, I'm not gonna get up here and repeat a lot. Most of them has said everything that I pretty much, I wanna tell y'all, I appreciate, and a lot of the county appreciates how hard y'all have worked, to try to put this thing together. It is no easy job. There's no easy answer. But one thing I will touch on, I do think that we can do better at collecting the unpaid taxes. If we have to go back to the old ways, like the sticker, you can't get by that with DMV issuing license for 3 years. Some of these people have not paid taxes on personal property in 3 years because you can buy a license for 3 years. If you go back to the sticker, and it's going to cost a little money to get that sticker, but I think the dividends from it will be better than what we've got going on right now with people dodging it. So that would be the only thing. And I want to remind y'all that not just me, but every citizen in this county, if you've looked at your house payment, or you've looked at your insurance payment, it's kind of like Bobby said. Everything, my personal budget this year has went up over $11,000 just from my house insurance, this, that, other things going up. I've not grown or I've not got anything different. It's just that's how much it's went up. So I know you're going to have to go up on taxes. It's like Martin said, you know that, but keep it to a minimum. I think, keep it to the point it's doable for the citizens, because if you destroy that, you've destroyed your income. So, just keep that in mind. I thank every one of y'all for working hard as you did. I know each one of you worked pretty hard, some more than others, but, you know, that's what we elected you for. So thank y'all and keep it in mind.
Thank you, Tony. Anybody else? All right. I'll close the public hearing on the proposed budget. Y'all already had some good input. What's y'all's comments?
On that. Thank you for everybody's opinion. I thank you for keeping it cool and thinking of us during this and knowing what we're going through. So I appreciate it. I do hear a kind of common theme, and I don't know if we can legally do this, but maybe we can get to a point where we can post the names of people who owe money. Is that a legal thing? We put it out there on the web or whatever?
That's already part of the process.
So the names can be posted?
It already happens. Yeah, just like people say they weren't reading it in the paper, they're posted.
Not personal property. I mean, yeah, personal property is not posted. Real estate is.
Real estate.
Personal
Yes.
property posted?
Yes, it can. It's,
Okay.
it's.
That's true. It wasn't
Just
for real
relax.
estate. Yeah.
I'm just saying, if your name's in the paper, I think people will start paying to
Relax.
answer what people are saying.
Yes, that is.
That's something we
that
could
is-
do.
Okay. Well, folks, I guess now's a good time. I've had some comments from other board members that we probably should have a continued meeting sometime first of the week to go over what the public hearing brought to us. What do y'all think about Monday?
Monday.
Hmm.
I'm fine with Monday.
Do it as soon as you can. Run out of time.
I can. I just told you I'll be on video for them next week, but that's fine for any of the
Time change gonna mess you up if we do it.
Any of your times and dates are fine.
Six,
Any of your times, dates are fine.
6 o'clock Monday?
Fox time.
All right, I'll go over this in a minute too, but we will have a continued meeting on
20th?
the 20th here at 6 p.m. We go over some budget comments. And we will also have some clarification on the EMS appropriation, the VDOT 6-year plan, and we should have something about the Civil War reenactment then Monday too. So we will take care of those 4 items at the continued meeting. All right, folks. That brings us to
Waste management.
yes, sir, Mr. Robinson.
I'm just helping you.
Sure, I appreciate it. Yes, sir, Mr. Harvey.
Mr. Chairman, the county administrator's report includes waste management check for the month of April, $246,915.11. That level of flow is holding steady. The Commonwealth Regional Council has submitted its April items of interest. Are there any questions that anybody might have about anything in there? I'm sure that Mr. Jones would be on top of it, or I would try to hear from it as well. DMV Select, for the month, the compensation was $3,140.92. And the last thing that I have here is there's a letter from Albemarle County writing to thank us for the mutual aid that was provided for the March 20th wildfire. The fire department sent at least 1, possibly 2 trucks to the Albemarle County. We certainly appreciate it.
Mr. Harvey, can I just stop you? Can we get a copy of that to the fire department
Sure.
leadership?
Yes, sir. And there's also a letter from Todd Fortune. His old news now. He wrote a letter of resignation from his long-held position as a planner at CRC, going to work for local government instead. He included that in there for everyone to read. I think it probably means something to those who worked with Todd through the years. Certainly going to be missed. And that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. I'll go first this time, if y'all allow that.
No, tonight. Yeah. April or something, I bet it rains.
Folks, I want to thank everybody here tonight. This team, somebody mentioned it before, team of me, we're all on that. But this board has really worked hard on this budget. We worked hard on this budget. I think we worked on anything. We've done them the same in the past too. And I thank you, Mr. Griles, if you're still here. We come up with the best product we could come up with. So I appreciate everybody's comments. I really appreciate nobody called us names tonight. That's really also good. But thank you. And hopefully we can have a short workshop on Monday to get some of these concerns looked at, see if they're viable, see if they're not. But thank y'all. And I will mention that, if we do have a productive meeting on Monday, the earliest we can vote on this budget will be Thursday. So keep that in your mind. If we can be very productive Monday and come to an agreement, we might can meet back Thursday for a quick, all in favor, all opposed. So
will be enough time to get all the other stuff that we wasn't ready, or just that one item?
What's that?
So all the other stuff we took off the list, we can get possibly knocked out by next Thursday, maybe?
Well, Kent said he could do Kent said he wanted the special event's already ready. It just needs to be distributed to us. And the third one was VDOT and it's ready. It just needs to be distributed to.
Yeah, sir.
I think we can.
I think all that will be taken care of on Monday. And then if we come to an agreement, if we could continue that meeting until Thursday, or we possibly could pass the proposed budget. So those are my comments. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Jones. It's just gonna snow tonight.
I would also like to thank the people out there in the audience out here for being, I don't know what the word is I'm gonna use here, for being civil. Unlike last year's, I hope y'all understand that this isn't choices that we have to do. We don't want to do some of these things that we're going to have to do because it affects us also. We're not getting away with nothing just because we're on the board. And that just some of these members on this board has really put in a lot of time and figures and effort on it, but I also want to recognize one person in general who has really done a lot of work, and that's Mr. Brady Deal. And that he has made it easier on especially myself and some of us others. The time and effort is to make it easy for us to see what's really going on. And that, I don't know if y'all realize just how much of an asset that young man is to this county. And he's moving here, he's gonna make this his permanent home, and we'll to have him. And, that's all I got to say.
He's officiating a wedding tonight, so that's why he couldn't be here.
Yes.
I don't know what hat he put on. He has a bunch of hats.
Hopefully you guys right.
Mr. Morris.
Ditto to everything everybody's saying. A little worried after hearing stories from my first go around on this. But I do have to keep remembering in my mind that everybody wants the services and luxuries of Chesterfield, but they want the small town feel. So find that balance is a hard thing. So just remember that when we're going through this. Thank everybody for coming out, and all the ones that spoke.
Mr. Roberts.
I'd like to thank everybody. This was my third budget, and this was probably the most enjoyable one with the citizens. It was, pretty relaxed. It was not what I was expecting tonight. I'd also like to thank Brady. He's done an excellent job. He's gone above and beyond his job description. And we will have something straight soon. And like Mr. Train Easter said, I hope we can please 51% of the citizens. And that's about it. I appreciate all the comments. And y'all just be safe on the ride home tonight.
I think, boy, I gotta add to you. I think the town halls probably helped a lot. It got our information out. We took questions early. So I think they helped a lot.
You were doing one this one?
Mr. Easton.
I'm gonna do one here before.
I think this is the beauty of going last, is y'all said it all well, so I will not delay things further tonight.
All right.
First next time.
That's okay, you don't mind talking.
Can I get a motion to continue this meeting until May 20th
At 6 p.m.
at 6 p.m. right here?
Right here.
So moved.
Motion on the floor to continue this meeting for the purpose of the four things we discussed earlier. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. And so let's do that.
The other thing gets quiet.
I hope it's fine.
Thing's been screaming all night.
Oh, we seen this.